Welcome to Sleepy Science, where truth meets calm curiosity, and where the world slows down just enough for your mind to wander. Tonight, we will drift through a question older than most can imagine, one that still echoes across the corners of thought. Have we been lied to about the shape of Earth? Perhaps not lied to, but maybe we have misunderstood what it truly means to live on a world so vast, so curved, that our senses can hardly comprehend it. Every question about the shape of the Earth eventually leads to one of the oldest stories in human thought: how people first tried to understand where they stood in the universe. The idea that the Earth might be round was not born from modern science, but from ancient curiosity. Thousands of years ago, long before rockets or satellites, humans began to notice patterns that did not fit a flat world. The curved shadow during an eclipse, the stars that changed with latitude, the disappearing ships on the horizon. These small, simple signs began to build a quiet revolution in thought. It was around 25 centuries ago, in the age of Greek philosophy, that the first clear description of a round Earth appeared. A thinker named Pythagoras was among the earliest to suggest it, inspired by the symmetry he saw in nature. To him, the sphere was the most perfect shape, balanced, complete, and divine. A century later, Aristotle added evidence to the idea. He observed that during lunar eclipses, when the Earth's shadow crossed the moon, the shadow was always round. That could happen only if the planet itself was spherical. Another observer, Eratosthenes, turned that idea into measurement. He compared the length of shadows cast by the sun in two distant cities on the same day. The difference told him that the surface was curved, and from that, he calculated the planet's size with astonishing accuracy using nothing more than sunlight and geometry. This moment became one of the earliest and purest examples of science, a testable idea proven through observation, not belief. For centuries, this understanding spread quietly through the world. Astronomers in India, Persia, and China made their own observations, each confirming what the others had seen. The Islamic scholars of the Golden Age refined these measurements with precise instruments, creating detailed maps of a globe long before the first explorers circled it. The knowledge of a round Earth was not a secret, nor was it the product of deception. It was born from patient curiosity shared by generations. The notion that the Earth was flat was never the dominant belief among those who studied the sky. It lived mostly in myths and the minds of those who never traveled far enough to question what they saw. For the farmers, the merchants, the builders, the world felt flat because that was all they could see. But among the thinkers, the explorers, and the dreamers, the world had already curved into shape. Then came the era of exploration. Sailors like Magellan and Columbus carried the ancient theories into the unknown and returned with proof written in the paths they sailed. When they circled the globe and returned to where they began, the question was no longer whether the Earth was round, but how vast it truly was. As centuries passed, science grew more precise. The development of telescopes, navigation, and eventually physics confirmed not only that the Earth was round, but that it was not even a perfect sphere. It bulged slightly at the equator and flattened at the poles, shaped by its own spinning motion. That small imperfection was the planet's signature, a reminder that it was alive in motion, not a static object frozen in space. So where then did the idea of a flat Earth return from in modern times? It rose not from discovery, but from doubt. In an age filled with images, data, and technology, some people began to feel distant from the very knowledge that once inspired wonder. When truth is delivered in numbers and pixels, it feels less like something we find, and more like something we are told. Modern flat Earth movements began as small voices on the edges of curiosity, often mixing distrust in authority with longing for personal proof. In their hearts, the question was less about the planet's shape, and more about whether they still had the power to question what they were shown. Science, however, was never meant to silence doubt. It was meant to guide it. Every measurement, every photograph from space, every signal from a satellite orbiting the planet tells the same story that Pythagoras once imagined and Aristotle once observed. The Earth is round, not because someone says it is, but because everything about it depends on that shape. Gravity, light, oceans, winds, even time itself bend gently along that curve. And so, when people ask whether we have been lied to, the answer lies not in deception, but in how we connect to knowledge. The truth is ancient, patient, and visible to anyone who seeks it. You do not need a telescope or a scientist's hand to see it. You only need the same curiosity that first lit the minds of those who looked at the stars and saw, for the first time, that the world beneath them was round. Even in our modern age of satellites and spaceflight, some still question what seems beyond doubt. Images of a curved horizon, recordings from orbit, and decades of data surround us. Yet, the idea of a flat Earth quietly endures. It is not sustained by science, but by something far more human, our deep and complex relationship with belief, perception, and trust. For most of human history, truth was something we could touch. We believed what we could see, what we could measure with our own hands, and what we could feel beneath our feet. The world looked flat, the ground felt still, and the sky appeared to move above us. These sensations are powerful, comforting, and deeply persuasive. Even now, with knowledge that spans galaxies, our senses remain loyal to what feels immediate. The rise of the flat Earth theory in modern times is not really a return to ancient ignorance. It is a reflection of modern disconnection. Technology allows us to see the planet from orbit, yet it also places a screen between our eyes and the real world. We receive information faster than we can process it, and as voices compete for attention, certainty becomes rare. Doubt, once a tool for discovery, begins to turn inward, questioning even the most basic facts. Some find peace in simplicity. A flat Earth is easier to imagine, easier to map, easier to explain. It feels personal, direct, and within reach. It removes the vastness that can make the universe feel cold and distant. For those who feel alienated from institutions or overwhelmed by complexity, the idea of a small, flat, enclosed world offers comfort. It restores the illusion of control. But science is not the enemy of simplicity. It is the path to understanding it. The beauty of the round Earth lies in how naturally everything fits together once you see it. The pull of gravity explains why we all stand upright no matter where we are. The motion of the stars and the sun explains why day and night trade places so perfectly. The shape of the planet explains why airplanes curve gently along their routes, and why satellites remain in orbit without falling. Psychologists often describe belief as something emotional before it becomes rational. We believe because we feel, and only later do we seek reasons to support those feelings. When people believe in a flat Earth, what they truly believe is that something about the world feels dishonest, that someone somewhere is hiding the truth. It is not geometry they question, it is trust. But science was never built on blind trust. It was built on doubt. The same doubt that makes people question the round Earth is the same doubt that once led philosophers to measure shadows, explorers to cross oceans, and astronomers to chart the sky. Doubt is the beginning of discovery, not its opposite. The problem comes only when doubt stops seeking answers. In the modern world, it is easy to confuse information with understanding. Facts are everywhere, but wisdom is rare. We scroll through endless truths, each wrapped in someone's opinion, until clarity fades. In that confusion, some retreat to simpler beliefs, ones that seem solid and certain. But certainty without evidence is fragile, and truth without curiosity fades like a shadow in the dark. The Earth remains what it has always been, a sphere turning quietly through space, its motion so smooth we cannot feel it, its curve so wide we cannot see it. Every piece of evidence, from centuries of observation to the technology that connects our world, points gently toward the same conclusion. There is no conspiracy in the roundness of Earth, only the quiet perfection of a planet in balance. If you stand outside at night and look at the stars, remember this: the light you see has traveled across endless distance, bending slightly through the atmosphere that hugs the Earth's curve before touching your eyes. You are already part of the proof, not by faith, but by presence. You are living on a sphere that turns beneath the cosmos, held steady by laws so elegant and calm that they almost seem like silence. And perhaps that silence is why some still question it. The truth of Earth's shape is not loud. It does not demand belief. It simply exists, waiting for those who wish to look, not upward into doubt, but outward into understanding. The reason we feel the world is flat lies not in the ground beneath our feet, but in the way our minds are built to see. Human perception was never designed for cosmic understanding. It evolved to help us walk across fields, climb mountains, and find shelter, not to grasp the geometry of planets and stars. Our senses are precise in the small world, but limited when faced with something as vast as the Earth. When you stand on a plane or look across the ocean, your eyes cannot sense the planet's curve. The surface is too wide, the horizon too distant. Light travels straight to your eyes, giving the illusion of flatness. The curve of the Earth is there, but it hides in scale. To see it clearly, you would have to stand so high that the distance between your eyes and the edge of the world becomes visible. A height far beyond mountains, into the still air where the sky turns dark and the Earth's edge glows faintly blue. Our brains also seek simplicity. They turn endless depth into smooth lines, complex curves into flat shapes. The horizon, for example, feels like a wall between Earth and sky, when in truth it is only the limit of how far light can travel before bending with the Earth. What looks like an edge is really just the beginning of another curve. This simplification is not a flaw, it is survival. The human brain filters out details that are too vast to be useful. It trades accuracy for calm, complexity for comfort. The world feels still because that stillness keeps us balanced. If we constantly sense the planet's motion, if we could feel the turning beneath our feet, we would never know rest. Our inner sense of balance, our inner ear, even our heartbeat, all are tuned to ignore the quiet rotation of the Earth. We live in motion, but we are built to feel still. The sun seems to rise and set because your brain prefers to believe that you are standing still and the sky is moving. This illusion is so natural that even after knowing the truth, you still feel it every morning. Your senses whisper one thing, your mind knows another, and yet both feel true. This is why the idea of a flat world continues to exist. It matches what our bodies feel, even if it denies what the universe reveals. When people say they can see the world's flatness with their own eyes, they are not wrong about what they see. They are wrong about what it means. Vision is not a photograph. It is an interpretation. The eyes send light, but the brain builds the picture. That picture is shaped by habit, emotion, and expectation. To truly see the world as it is, you must look beyond what feels natural and learn to see what is real. This is what science has always done. It extends human perception beyond its limits. Telescopes let us see what eyes cannot. Measurements reveal what distance hides. Instruments sense motion too slow or too constant for nerves to feel. Science is not a replacement for sight. It is an expansion of it. It teaches us to see more clearly, even when our senses resist. And so, when the horizon looks flat, when the ground feels still, when the sun appears to move across the sky, it is not a sign of deceit. It is a sign of how beautifully adapted we are to our home. The Earth's curve is too gentle to disturb us, its spin too smooth to unsettle us. We live inside its balance, unaware of the perfection that keeps us safe. The irony is that the same instincts that once helped us survive now make it harder to accept truths beyond our senses. The Earth's roundness is one of those truths. It belongs to a scale larger than feeling, but not beyond imagination. When you close your eyes and picture the world from above, a blue sphere drifting in silence, wrapped in air and light, you are seeing through the limits of perception into the calm truth beyond it. The Earth does not hide its shape. We simply live too close to notice. But once you learn to look through the stillness, to see motion where you once saw peace, the illusion fades. The horizon is no longer an edge. It is a curve. The sunrise is no longer the sun moving. It is the earth turning. And the world beneath you becomes not flat and simple, but round and alive, forever in motion, forever carrying you through the quiet vastness of space. There is a moment that every astronaut describes, a moment so powerful that it changes how they see everything. It happens not during launch, not during orbit, but in the quiet after, the first time they look back at the Earth from the vastness of space. In that silence, the world below appears small, round, glowing with blue and white light, drifting alone in a sea of black. From that view, there is no illusion of flatness, no debate, no question. The truth is visible, simple, and breathtaking. They call this moment the overview effect. It is not a scientific term, but a human one. A transformation of perception that happens when the mind finally sees what the heart has always felt. Looking down from above, astronauts say they no longer see countries or borders, only colors and patterns. The continents flow together like pieces of art, connected by oceans that shimmer beneath the sunlight. The clouds swirl in soft spirals, tracing the planet's rotation. Everything moves, everything breathes, and everything fits perfectly upon the curve. From that height, you can see the thin blue line of the atmosphere hugging the planet's surface. It looks impossibly fragile, like a silk veil stretched over glass. That faint layer is all that separates life from emptiness. It holds every breath you have ever taken, every drop of rain, every sound, every song, every whisper since the beginning of time. And it clings to the planet because of the very thing some still doubt, the Earth's roundness and gravity. The astronauts say that when they see this, something inside them becomes still. The constant noise of daily life fades, replaced by a quiet sense of awe. They realize that everything they have ever known, all of humanity, all of history, all of nature, exists upon that glowing sphere, turning silently in the dark. There are no edges, no ends, only smooth continuity, one curve leading to another. The Earth looks alive, not as an object, but as a being, a single, breathing presence floating through space. The overview effect does not just reveal the shape of the Earth, it reveals its meaning. From space, the world is not a set of facts or theories. It is an experience of wholeness. The human mind, when faced with that view, seems to awaken to something ancient and peaceful. All the divisions and doubts that fill our lives fall away, replaced by wonder. The truth is no longer something to argue about. It is something to feel. Those who have seen the Earth this way describe a sense of unity that lingers long after they return. They cannot look at the sky the same way again. They cannot think of distance or separation in the same terms. They speak of the planet as if it were fragile and eternal at once, a perfect balance of strength and vulnerability. The roundness that once seemed abstract becomes deeply personal, something to be protected, cherished, and understood. From the ground, it is easy to forget this. The curve hides beyond the horizon. The air feels infinite, and the sky seems to rest upon us rather than surround us. But from orbit, that illusion disappears. You can see the darkness of space stretching endlessly outward, and within it, the Earth glows like a lantern. You can see the edge of night, sweeping gently across the continents, chasing sunlight in a never-ending circle. You can see storms spiraling, rivers winding, and shadows bending across mountains. Everything follows the same law of motion, the harmony of a round, turning world. The overview effect is more than proof. It is perspective. It reminds us that knowledge is not only something to hold in the mind, but something to feel in the soul. When you see the earth as a whole, you understand that there has never been a lie, only limits to how far our eyes can see. You are standing on a sphere of stone and light, wrapped in a veil of air, turning endlessly through the darkness. You are part of that motion, part of that shape, part of that harmony. You do not need to leave the ground to sense it. You only need to look at the horizon and remember that what feels flat is the curve of a miracle too vast to fit within a single human view. There is a reason the sight of the round earth brings peace instead of fear. The human mind is drawn to shapes that feel complete, to forms that close upon themselves with balance and harmony. Circles, orbits, spirals, all echo something deep within us, something older than memory. The shape of the earth is not only the truth of our planet, it is the truth of how we understand safety, rhythm, and home. From the time we are born, our senses search for patterns that repeat. A heartbeat, a breath, the rising and falling of light. These things calm us because they promise stability. The sphere is nature's purest pattern. It has no beginning, no end, no sharpness. Every point is equal. Every direction curves softly back upon itself. The mind recognizes this perfection, even if it cannot name it. That is why the moon feels soothing when it hangs above, and why the earth, when seen from space, looks like serenity itself. Psychologists say that the human brain finds comfort in symmetry. It reduces uncertainty, offering a feeling of control. The roundness of the earth speaks that same language. It tells us that everything connects, that what begins somewhere will always return. It is balance made visible. When we imagine the planet turning gently through the void, our thoughts slow to match its rhythm. The world becomes not chaotic or random, but purposeful. Even the natural world follows this geometry. Seeds form in circles, storms spin in spirals, planets and stars follow orbits. The smallest cells within your body are spheres, because that shape holds everything together with the least energy. Nature has always known that the round form is peace. It wastes nothing. It breaks rarely. It endures. The earth is built upon the same principle. When you understand this, the idea of a flat earth feels not only wrong, but lonely. A flat world has edges, boundaries, limits. A round world has none. It allows everything to continue, to cycle, to renew. The oceans move because the earth turns. The seasons change because it tilts. Life thrives because it bends sunlight in equal measure. Every comfort you feel, every quiet evening and every dawn is born from this motion. The roundness of the planet is the rhythm of your own existence. Artists and thinkers through history have felt this without words. They painted halos around saints, suns above fields, orbs in the hands of kings. Circles meant eternity, safety, completion. The globe itself became a symbol of wisdom and wholeness long before anyone had seen it from space. It is as if the human spirit always knew that we lived upon something round, even when our eyes could not yet see it. When astronauts describe their return to Earth, they often say that what stays with them is not the view of stars, but the sight of home, a perfect sphere glowing in the dark. They feel both small and vast at once, fragile and infinite. That feeling comes from the same place in the mind that finds calm in a steady heartbeat or comfort in the soft rhythm of rain. It is the recognition of pattern, of belonging, of connection. You are part of that pattern too. Every heartbeat you feel follows the same logic that shapes the turning of the earth. Every breath mirrors the air that moves around the planet's curve. The same forces that guide the oceans and the winds guide you, quietly, without demand. The world's roundness is not something outside of you. It is something you live within, something that holds you every moment of your life. The earth turns, and you turn with it. The stars rise, and you rise beneath them. The roundness of the world is not just a scientific truth. It is the most natural form of peace. It tells you that nothing truly ends, that all things move and return, that even in vastness, there is order, and within that order, rest. And when you close your eyes tonight, the world will keep turning, gentle and constant, carrying you with it, wrapped in the same curve that has guided life since the beginning. There is no lie in that motion, only the quiet perfection of a planet that has always known how to cradle its children in balance and light. When you look closely at the design of nature, you begin to notice that everything seems to echo the same form. Drops of water gather into spheres as they fall through the air. Planets orbit in curved paths around the sun. Even galaxies swirl into vast spirals that mirror the tiny shapes found in seashells and flowers. It is as if the universe has one quiet rule that it repeats across every scale. The rule of roundness, of balance, of endless motion that always returns to itself. This pattern is not coincidence. It is the way energy finds rest. The sphere is nature's simplest answer to complexity. It holds the most with the least effort. It spreads pressure evenly, allowing things to exist without breaking. From the smallest cell to the largest star, the universe seems to prefer the curve over the line. The Earth is part of that same story. It does not stand apart from the cosmos. It belongs to the same rhythm, following the same geometry that keeps everything in harmony. When we question the Earth's shape, we are really questioning our place in that pattern. To some, the idea of a vast round world feels overwhelming, as if we are adrift upon something too great to understand. But that greatness is not something to fear. It is the same order that holds your breath steady, that carries the seasons in their quiet circles, that spins the moon through the sky each night. The world's roundness is not a distant fact. It is the reason everything feels alive. Science has found proof of this harmony in many ways. When satellites orbit above the planet, they follow paths that only make sense around a sphere. Their motion is not magic. It is the natural dance of mass and motion. Gravity pulls them toward the center of the Earth, but their speed carries them forward, keeping them in an endless curve. This same balance keeps the moon where it is, circling softly in a bond that has lasted since the beginning. The Earth's shape also gives rise to time itself. Because it turns, different parts of the world wake and rest at different hours. Somewhere it is morning, somewhere it is night, somewhere it is neither. Time moves across the surface like light spilling slowly across fabric, continuous and unbroken. The roundness of the planet divides the day not into walls, but into a flowing rhythm that connects every moment to the next. Even sound and light obey this curve. When you call across an open space, your voice travels farther than you expect, bending gently with the air that hugs the earth. When you see the last edge of the sun at sunset, you are already looking slightly below the horizon, your vision bent by the atmosphere's curve. What you see is the world giving you a few extra seconds of light, a gift from its shape. The round earth is not simply a physical truth. It is a message written into everything. It tells us that the universe is not made of edges and limits, but of connections and flow. It invites us to see that every movement returns to where it began, that nothing truly stands alone. When you follow that idea far enough, you begin to feel something deeper than understanding. You begin to feel belonging. Perhaps that is why the image of the whole earth, glowing softly in space, moves people so deeply. It is not only beautiful, it is familiar. It looks like something we have always known. It looks like completion. It looks like peace. And when you realize that you are part of that sphere, that you are carried by its turn, held by its gravity, and wrapped in its air, you begin to sense that your life too follows the same quiet law. You move, you rest, you change, and you return. The Earth's roundness is not a symbol of separation. It is proof that everything is connected. You are not living on the edge of the world. You are living in the center of it, wherever you stand. The planet curves away from you in every direction, embracing you completely. There is no up, no down, no side. Only the endless, gentle symmetry of being part of something whole. And that truth, once seen, is impossible to forget. It is the calm at the heart of all understanding. Every discovery about our planet's shape leads us closer to understanding the quiet genius of nature. The Earth's roundness is not just a form. It is a solution, the simplest answer to balance and motion. A flat world could not spin as smoothly, could not hold air evenly, could not cradle oceans in calm. But a sphere spreads every force across itself like the even pull of a heartbeat. The very stability we depend on is the result of that shape. Think about how gravity behaves. It does not pull toward a single direction, like down on a flat floor. It pulls inward, toward the center of everything. Wherever you stand on Earth, gravity draws you the same way, holding you to the surface with invisible grace. This is why people at opposite sides of the world both stand upright, though they're down points in different directions. The world curves beneath them, but they never feel the difference. Gravity makes the curve feel like level ground. This pull is the quiet architect of the world. It shapes the mountains, guides the rivers, and gathers the air around us. It keeps the moon close, bound in its endless path through the night sky. The roundness of the Earth and the pull of gravity are not separate things. They are partners, two sides of one design. Each depends on the other. The shape creates the force, and the force maintains the shape. Without this roundness, light itself would behave differently. The sun's rays would strike unevenly, creating extremes of heat and cold that no life could endure. But because the Earth is curved, light spreads softly, allowing warmth to flow from day into night, from one season into the next. The tilt of that curve gives us the rhythm of seasons, the long summer evenings and short winter days, the eternal balance between heat and rest. And even the air we breathe follows the same gentle rules. It wraps around the world in flowing layers, each one sliding across the other in spirals. These spirals create weather, the turning of winds and the patterns of storms. When you see a storm from above, swirling like a painting in motion, you are looking at the Earth's roundness revealed in air. Nothing in nature moves in straight lines. Everything bends, everything follows the curve. The oceans, too, are shaped by this balance. They rise slightly at the equator, drawn outward by the planet's spin. This swelling is not chaos, it is order. The sea itself understands the curve it rests upon, adjusting with patience, keeping harmony. Waves crash and tides move, but they always return. The ocean, like the world, is round in spirit as well as in form. Sometimes, it is easy to think that roundness means perfection, but that is not what makes it beautiful. The Earth is not a perfect sphere. It is slightly flattened at the poles, stretched at the waist, always adjusting, always alive. Its roundness is not exact. It breathes. This imperfection is what allows it to move, to shift, to evolve. The planet's gentle unevenness gives it character, the way a heartbeat wavers as it keeps time. From the outside, seen from the quiet of space, none of this motion is visible. The Earth looks still, floating in the dark, blue and white and whole. Yet within that stillness, everything flows. Air rises and falls, water spins and drifts. Continents glide slowly upon molten rock. Every movement, no matter how great or small, follows the same circular logic. returning endlessly to balance. This is what makes the idea of a flat Earth impossible, not because of authority or law, but because nature itself refuses to move in straight lines. The very essence of existence is curved. The planets circle their stars. The stars circle the center of galaxies. Even galaxies spin in vast spirals, each one a reflection of the same rule that shaped the world beneath your feet. When you realize this, doubt becomes smaller, and wonder becomes greater. The Earth's roundness is not just a fact. It is a connection between you and everything else that moves in the universe. You are not separate from it. You live upon it. You breathe its air. You move with its turn. Every second you are carried forward on its spinning path, floating through space, balanced in perfect motion. And perhaps that is the truest comfort of all, that you are never still, never lost, never apart. You belong to a planet that turns, to a pattern that repeats, to a round world that holds you in its arms as it drifts endlessly through the dark, steady, calm, and alive. The more we uncover about the Earth's roundness, the more we begin to see how it connects to everything we know about life itself. The planet's curve is not only a structure, it is the foundation upon which balance, rhythm, and time are built. Without that curvature, the world would have no day or night, no changing seasons, no tides to move the seas, no steady pull to hold the air. Everything that gives the Earth harmony comes from the way it bends, the way it turns, the way it holds itself in gentle motion. Even the passage of time, something we rarely question, is shaped by the planet's curve. Because the Earth spins, every place experiences light and darkness at different moments. The sun's journey across the sky is not a race over a flat surface. It is a dance between the turning world and the shining star. The length of a day is born from that rotation. It is the time the Earth takes to turn once through the light, the time between one sunrise and the next. If you could watch the world from far above, you would see light and shadow move across its surface, like the slow sweep of a brush. The line between day and night, called the Terminator, never stands still. It glides continuously around the planet, always moving, always soft. It paints half the world in sunlight, while the other half rests in darkness. Then, as the Earth turns, it trades places. This eternal cycle gives life its rhythm, and the rhythm gives us calm. Even the smallest changes in the planet's motion leave traces that we can feel. When the Earth wobbles slightly on its axis, the length of days shifts by fractions too small to notice. Yet those fractions affect the pull of tides, the growth of plants, even the migration of birds that travel by the stars. Everything alive listens, in its own way, to the rhythm of the turning world. The roundness of the planet does not only shape its form, it shapes the heartbeat of life itself. The oceans move in slow circles, guided by wind, temperature, and the spin of the Earth. The water rises and falls twice each day, pulled by the moon, another body held by the same invisible thread of gravity. These tides are not just motion, they are conversation. The Earth and moon speak to each other through the pull of their masses, moving together in an endless exchange that keeps both worlds in balance. A flat Earth could not have tides. It could not share this rhythm with its companion in the sky. The curve makes it possible. Light too bends with the world. When the sun sinks below the horizon, its rays do not vanish instantly. They pass through the atmosphere, bending along the curve, scattering into colors that paint the sky in gold and red. Those final moments of sunset, when the world glows soft and warm, are a gift from its shape. The same happens at dawn, when the Earth turns gently back toward the light. The curve stretches the day, softening both the arrival and the farewell of sunlight. If you could see the planet's motion from a distance of millions of kilometers, you would notice how smoothly it travels. It spins on its axis and circles the sun, while the moon follows, all three moving together through space in a slow spiral. From that view, everything seems perfectly still, as if frozen in harmony. But inside that stillness lies motion upon motion. Winds turning, water flowing, life breathing, all following the geometry of a sphere. This unity of motion is what makes Earth so rare. Its balance allows warmth to spread evenly, allows air to circulate, allows seasons to sustain life. The curve of the planet is not just beautiful, it is essential. It is what makes the world gentle enough to hold life, yet strong enough to endure time. And though we may not see that curve with our eyes each day, we live within its embrace. Every sunrise we witness, every star we follow, every breath we take is shaped by that invisible bend. You are not separate from it. You are a traveler upon a turning world, held in orbit by the same grace that moves the stars. There has never been a lie about the Earth's shape, only the limits of what we can see and feel. The truth has always been beneath our feet, beneath our skies, beneath our breath. The world curves, and in that curve lies everything: motion, time, balance, and the quiet beauty of belonging to something infinite and round. From where you stand, the ground feels flat beneath your feet. The horizon looks straight. The sky seems to rest above like a great dome. Yet these impressions are not false. They are simply small. What we see is limited by how far light can travel before the world bends away beneath it. The flatness we believe in is only the softness of an immense curve, stretched beyond the limits of our eyes. When you travel across the ocean, the first sign of a distant ship is not its hull, but the top of its mast. Slowly as it approaches, more becomes visible, rising from the curve of the sea. The same happens in reverse when a ship leaves the harbor. The earth hides and reveals its shape through motion. What looks flat from the shore becomes a gentle arc when seen across distance. Ancient observers knew this before science gave it names. They saw stars appear and vanish with travel, noticed shadows stretch differently depending on where they stood, and watched the moon's curved shadow during an eclipse. These were quiet lessons written in light, water, and time. No equations were needed to see the truth, only patience and a willingness to look. The roundness of Earth is not simply a matter of shape. It is the foundation of how everything works. Gravity pulls evenly toward the center, keeping oceans from drifting and air from escaping. The curve allows day and night to follow their rhythm, gives seasons their balance, and lets time flow differently across the globe. The world's form is not decoration, it is function. And that function is beautiful. But the question lingers not because of evidence, but because of trust. We live in a world where technology shows us the earth from above, yet many still feel disconnected from what they see. The doubt comes not from ignorance, but from distance. The more advanced our understanding becomes, the less we feel it belongs to us. And so, we look again at the horizon, searching for a simpler truth we can touch. Still, the earth remains what it always was. A perfect compromise between stillness and motion, between what we can see and what we cannot. Its roundness is not hidden. It is revealed every sunrise, every sunset, every curve of shadow across the ground. The shape of the planet is not a secret to keep or a lie to expose. It is a quiet truth, waiting in the light of every day. The earth is not only round in shape, but round in breath. The air that surrounds it wraps itself in layers, like soft fabric resting upon a sphere. This invisible ocean of air curves with the planet, following its every contour. You cannot see it, yet you live within it. The air presses gently against you, pulling toward the center just as you do. It is the quiet hand that holds the clouds, the breath that carries the winds, the reason storms spin instead of drifting straight. If the world were flat, the air would not move as it does. Winds would rush endlessly in one direction, never curving, never circling. But here, on this rounded world, the air dances. It bends as the earth turns, wrapping around it in elegant spirals. These movements shape the weather, painting the sky with soft clouds and guiding the rain from one horizon to another. You might not feel it, but every breeze that brushes against your skin is shaped by the curve beneath it. High above, the air thins until it becomes space. Yet even there, the shape of the planet still holds power. The faint glow that you see at dawn or dusk, that soft blue edge at the horizon, is sunlight bending through layers of air that cling to the world's roundness. It is a fragile border, only a few breaths thick compared to the size of the earth. Yet it protects everything within. The light of day follows the same curve. When the sun rises, it is not climbing into the sky, but meeting you as the earth turns toward it. When night falls, it is not the sun that leaves. It is the world turning gently away. The cycle of day and night is not the march of light across a flat land, but the turning of a sphere through a sea of brightness. You feel still, yet you are always moving, always carried forward into the next moment of light. The shape of Earth gives this balance meaning. Because it is round, the air above it moves in circles. It creates waves of heat and coolness that travel across the planet, allowing some regions to breathe warmth while others rest in cold. This slow exchange keeps the world alive. The air does not simply exist, it flows, folds, and returns, shaped forever by the gentle curve beneath it. When you watch clouds drift, when you hear thunder roll, when you feel the air shift before a storm, you are witnessing the roundness of Earth in motion. The planet is speaking to you through patterns, through rhythm, through calm repetition. Nothing about this motion is random. Every gust of wind is guided by a turning world. Every raindrop falls along a curve that leads it home. And when you look toward the horizon and see the sky fading from blue to pale white, what you are really seeing is the edge of that air, bending light along the curve of the earth. The line that separates sky and ground is not an ending. It is a soft meeting point between worlds, a place where the vastness above touches the vastness below. The Earth's roundness is not a secret to be discovered. It is a presence to be felt. Every breath, every shadow, every wave of air is shaped by it. You live upon a world that turns smoothly through its own sea of wind, a sphere that holds its atmosphere like a quiet promise. It protects you, carries you, and surrounds you, all because of the curve that makes it whole. The next time you feel a gentle wind against your face, remember, it has traveled around the world to reach you, following the same curve that has held all life since the beginning. Beneath the calm air that wraps around our planet lies another world, hidden and full of motion. The ground beneath your feet, though it feels solid and still, is alive in its own quiet way. It moves, breathes, and shifts, slowly shaping the earth from within. This movement, though unseen, is another echo of the planet's roundness. The world is not a still plate, but a sphere in constant, gentle motion. Deep below the surface lies a vast ocean of molten rock. It moves so slowly that lifetimes pass unnoticed. Yet this slow movement gives rise to mountains, earthquakes, and even continents. The outer crust, where you walk and live, floats upon this inner sea, carried by invisible currents that follow the natural curve of the planet. These currents drift around the globe like soft, glowing rivers beneath stone. If the earth were flat, this movement would have nowhere to go. The heat would build and break. The surface would shatter. But because the planet is round, the forces beneath it spread evenly, releasing their energy in balance. Mountains rise and erode, oceans deepen and shift, and the crust bends without breaking. The roundness is what keeps the earth alive. It allows everything beneath the surface to move without destroying what lies above. Farther down, near the heart of the planet, lies the core, a sphere of metal and fire that spins within another layer of molten stone. That inner spin is not silent. It shapes the magnetic field that protects life from the sun's most dangerous rays. You cannot see the shield, but it reaches far into space, curving around the Earth like invisible armor. It moves with the same grace as the planet itself, guided by its shape, held by its turning. This magnetic shield keeps the air in place, keeps the oceans from being stripped away, and lets the light of the sun touch us gently instead of burning us bare. Without the Earth's roundness and rotation, that balance would fall apart. The planet's shape is not only what you stand on, it is what keeps you safe every moment of every day. Even the gentle dance of the northern and southern lights comes from this same balance. When the invisible energy from the sun meets the curved field of Earth, it slides along the magnetic lines and paints the sky with ribbons of color. These lights are not random. They follow the shape of the planet itself, glowing softly where the magnetic curve meets the atmosphere. It is as if the world is breathing light, showing us the beauty of its invisible structure. All of this, the air above, the fire below, the light in the sky, is connected by one truth. The Earth is round not because someone said it is, but because everything about it flows in circles. The winds, the waters, the molten rock beneath the crust, even the magnetic field, they all move in curved paths, repeating their journeys again and again. The planet's shape is not decoration. It is the rhythm that holds every piece of life in harmony. When you walk across the ground, you might think of it as still, but beneath you, entire continents drift. When you look at the sky, you might think of it as endless, but it too bends around the world. And deep inside, the planet's heart turns, steady and warm, like a slow pulse that has never stopped beating. You are standing on a sphere that breathes in cycles of air, fire, and light. You may not hear it, you may not feel it, but it moves beneath you with endless patience. The world's shape is not a secret. Its proof is written everywhere, in the glowing edges of dawn, in the trembling of the ground, in the dancing lights above the poles. The Earth turns, curves, and protects, and all you have to do to see it is to stop, breathe, and listen to its quiet motion beneath your feet.